Okay, so we're going to do section 11.4, which is volume of prisms and cylinders. So if I find the volume of a prism, the formula is capital B times H. And remember, capital B is area of the base, and H is the height of the prism. So it depends on what shape is your base in order to figure out what formula you want to use. So here's the first problem. It wants us to find the volume of the rectangular prism at the right. So I would use volume equals area of the base times height. So my base is a rectangle, so the area of a rectangle is length times width. So that means that I'm going to do 24 times 20 for the area of the base, and then I'm going to take it times the height of the prism, which in this case is 10. So multiplying all those together, I get 4,800. And when we're doing volume, we're taking it one step up because volume is everything inside of this box. So if I were to fill it up with like a whole bunch of beads, that would be considered the volume inside of there. So we want to do centimeters cubed when we're doing volume. Okay, pause the video and see if you can do the got a question. In the got a question, I want you to find the volume of the rectangular prism again. So just a reminder, we're doing area of the base times height. So my base again is a rectangle, so the area of that would be length times width, so 5 times 3, and then I want to take it times the height of the prism times 4. So then that answer should be 60 feet cubed. On the next part, you're still finding the volume, but now we're going to look at what would it look like if I was doing a triangular prism. So in this case, you're still going to do the same formula. So I'm still going to do the volume equals the area of the base times the height. For my base though, since it's a triangle, we're now switching formula. So now I want to do the area formula for a triangle. So that's why I'm doing a half times base times height. And then I need to multiply with the height of the prism. So be careful with the two h's in there. So I have a half times, I know that each of these sides are 8 since this over here is 8 as well. So I know that my base would be 8. It does not show me what my height would be. So I would need to draw it in and find what it would be. So I drew it out over here so you could see it a little bit better. So I turned it. So I had 8, 8, and 8. And then I drew in my height, which remember that would split this in half, so this would be 4. If this is an equilateral triangle, I also know it's equiangular. So that's how I know that all three of these angles are 60. And so my height would split that 60 in half, which is why this top angle up here is 30. So with me having a 30, 60, 90 formula, here is my short leg, that's 4. My height is the long leg. So I would need to use my long leg formula in order to find what my height would be. So that's why we're multiplying the square root of 3 times 4, and that's how I get 4 square roots of 3 as the height of my base. So then I would multiply that end part by the height of the prism, and that would be the 10 number that you see here. So then I just multiplied all those together, and I left this exact, so I left it as that, and so I got 277.1 inches cubed, and so that's why I rounded to 277 in the final answer. So again, it makes a difference on what shape is your base, so pay attention so that you're using the correct area formula. Alright, you try the got it question. So on the got it question, we have another triangular prism. So I would have to do area of the base times height. My base again is a triangle, so that's how I know I need to do a half times base times height, and then multiply with the height of the prism. Now, my base is this triangle that you see here. How do I know that's my base? Because those are the only two shapes that are in common, so this is really not sitting on its base, so make sure you understand that part. So since it's a right triangle, my base could be 6 and my height could be 10 for the area of my triangle. So this one really doesn't have any work for me to do because it's a right triangle. So I can just do a half times 6 times 10 to find the area of the base, and then I can multiply it with the height of the prism, which in this case is 5. So if you flipped this over, that 5 would be the height that it would be from standing on top of the desk. So your final answer should be 150 meters cubed. Okay, just like when we did surface area, we combined prisms with cylinders, and so we're going to do the exact same thing. And notice that I have the exact same formula, which you should see that connection. So the volume is still area of the base times height, but since every cylinder, the base would be a circle, I know I can use the pi times radius squared for the base. So here's my first problem. We're going to find the volume of that cylinder, but we're going to leave our answer in terms of pi, just like we did when we found surface area. So here was my formula. We know that the base is a circle, which is why we're plugging in the pi r squared. I know that my radius is 3 from the picture, and I also know the height of the prism is 8, so it's really just plugging those numbers in the right spots. So then I multiplied 3 squared, which is 9, 9 times 8, which is 72, left the pi in there, did not compute it, and then put on my label. So 72 pi centimeters cubed. And then for the very last one, you're going to do the same thing in the got it question. You're going to do pi r squared, so I would do pi, and then my radius is 1 squared times the height of the prism. Now this is an oblique cylinder because it's not standing straight up, so my height is that 3 that you see out there, so I would have 3 pi meters cubed.